Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Going over today's going to be main slate for the day on DraftKings. We have a nice 13-game slate coming off the All-Star break. I have missed making videos from MLB, and I've also missed watching and playing MLB. So very excited to be back, and I'm sure you guys are too. Anyway, before we continue, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate that. You can also find me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. And if you want access to this cheat sheet and the pitching model and the hitting model, I'll put the link in the description below for Patreon. We have over 50 members now. And we also have a Slack chat going, so you can join in on Slack, ask me questions all day. And so yeah, so if you click on the link, it's going to take you here. And then you can pick whatever you want. UFC, PGA. I know PGA is going on right now. I'm doing very well so far. So hopefully that keeps it up. I probably just jinxed on my golfers, so I'm sure we're going to get a lot of bogeys now. But NASCAR's on Saturday again. So just for those of you who usually expect it to be on Sunday, it is on Saturday again, 7:30 p.m. Got the MLB sheet. NFL, I'm working on my NFL sheet, so obviously don't sign up now because that doesn't make sense because there's not going to be any slates. I don't want you guys to waste your money, but so whenever NFL is available, it'll probably be in September. I do have the NFL sheet ready. I'm very excited for NFL. I love football, so I'm going to be doing that. And then I know some of you want to do NASCAR and UFC, but I guess on Patreon you can't sign up for two things. I don't think so. I'm pretty new to Patreon still. So I did make a bundle for that, and you get to save $1 if you ended up paying for both, which I don't think you can. So if you want to sign up for NASCAR and UFC, because those are pretty popular, you can save $1 getting that bundle there. And then we have the all access for $20, which I think is a pretty good value. Because if you look at all these prices here, you're saving a good chunk of change there. So sign up for all access, and you get access to all the Slack chats as well. So anyway, enough of that commercial. Let's get into this cheat sheet. And also, if you did have access to this, this is what the pitching sheet would look like, because I like to show you guys. So I added a bunch of stuff over the All-Star break. So pitchers, you pretty much have every single thing you need here for pitchers. You got I added their splits versus lefties and righties, because I know that's obviously pretty important. So a bunch of good stuff on there. I got Vegas. Obviously, it's still Thursday, so I'll have the Vegas info for Friday yet, except for some other websites had it, but not the ones I use. So I have all that. So that's an example of what you'd have, and I have that by position. So pitching, hitting, overall, and then the catcher first, So anyway, that's what that looks like. And anyway, let's get into the cheat sheet, because that's why you guys are here. It's been a while, so very excited to get back into baseball. So SP1 is going to be Garrett Cole. If you want to spend up, I could understand not wanting to spend up and spend up on some bats. But if you are, Garrett Cole is the easy option in my opinion. He's 11,500. He's just been a monster this season. He's got a 36% K rate and a 39% versus lefties, which is really good versus Texas because they got a lot of lefties in the lineup. And like I just said that. But the ballpark is an issue. And earlier in the season, obviously this is a long time ago, but he got lit up for, I believe, 9 runs versus Texas. But obviously a lot of things changed since then. But yeah, he's a rock star. He just did very well versus Texas recently. And he has a whole bunch of upside, although I am a little bit worried about the ballpark because, Gallo could get on. Maybe he gets a 3-run shot, and that kind of diminishes his value unless he's getting his 10 strikeouts, which obviously I think he can do. So I do think he's capable of that 40 points, which I do like, but he's also capable of not hitting value and getting around 20 points, which would be very upsetting, and it's going to cost you your bats. So I do think there's 2 ways you can go there. I don't have him as a core play because I'm still deciding what I want to do with him, but I do think he's definitely in play. And then at SP2, I think there's a couple options here, and we could also go double mid-range SP2 here. Wouldn't have a problem with that because I could spend up on some bats. But first guy I want to talk about is Jason Vargas at 7,800. I don't like playing this guy. Usually I'm a guy that goes against him, but he hasn't been awful this season. His xFIP does suggest regression. I believe his xFIP's near 5. It's not completely 5 yet, but his ERA is in the 3s. So regression is coming, but I don't think it's coming yet though. Versus Miami in Marlins Park, he's a fly ball guy, and I do think his fly balls will get diminished here. As what could be an easier home run in another park is an easy fly out in Miami. So I do think Vargas has some upside here, and he has been getting some strikeouts this season. So I don't think 15 points, maybe even 20 points is out of the question here. Obviously, I never feel safe with Jason Vargas, but I do think he's in play at that price. I do think he's going to have some ownership as well. And then in the same game, Caleb Smith at 8,600. Like Vargas, he's a fly ball guy, but that's going to be mitigated in Miami's park. It's Marlins Park, right? Yeah. So same reasons I like as Vargas, and he offers us a 30% K rate, which we know strikeouts are king in DFS. So I do like Caleb Smith a lot there. He's actually worse versus lefties. He's kind of a reverse splits guy. A better strikeout rate versus righties. I believe that's at 32%, and you should see a decent amount of righties in that lineup. I mean, the Mets aren't. They do have some decent guys in there, but I do think Caleb Smith's going to have a pretty good game here, and I don't think he should have a problem getting 20 points. So I do like Caleb Smith, although it's never likely that he's going to get the win, which is a problem because he's on Miami. But I do think he has plenty of upside, especially with the strikeouts. And at catcher, we have Yasmani Grandal at 4,900. It's a great matchup for the Brewers, as Anderson just can't strike out lefties. He has a terrible 8% K rate versus them, and that's a problem versus a lefty-heavy lineup like the Brewers. And they're at home in Milwaukee, so good hitter's park as well. And then Alex Avila at 3,600. Good spot here versus Wainwright, who sucks versus lefties. He's allowing a 405 WOBA and 241 ISO versus lefties. And Avila is always someone I have interest in versus righties. I've mentioned him a few times on this cheat sheet, and he's done very well each time. So maybe he's just one of those guys I get right a lot. So do like Alex Avila. And then if we're punting, I like Hicks and Zunino. If you need a punt, don't mind them. Zunino's got some power. He just strike out a ton though, but do like righty power versus Bundy. He's giving up a lot of power to righties this season, and Hicks is just a cheap righty on lefty play. Although Hicks actually has been better versus righties, but still. And then at first base, we have Joey Votto at 4,100. Like I always say, I like John Gray, but not at home versus lefties. And I really like the price we get here with Votto. Some of these Cincy guys didn't really get the Coors boost I would have expected they would have got. So I'm going to just thank them for not raising the prices and gives us some easier plays in cash, because I do think he's going to carry a lot of ownership, but I do like that. But definitely like him in cash. Maybe there's a reason to fade him in GPPs, but I tend to be like a 1 or 3 lineup guy, so tend to end up playing some chalkier guys, but if they're the best plays, they're the best plays. And then Matt Olson at 5,100. He's actually better versus lefties. I think he's got a 367 ISO versus lefties this season, but he's still got really good numbers versus righties. I think he's got a 270 ISO versus them, which is still very, very good. And Nova is garbage versus lefties, and he's one of the few lefties I like, few lefties in this lineup. So I do like Matt Olson if you're going to pay up. Can't see him having too much ownership. And then Jake Lamb and Paul Goldschmidt, they're both mid 3K. I like the spots for both these guys. I love lefties versus Wainwright, so same reasons as Avila for Lamb, and then always like Goldies versus lefties. Although I don't love targeting Ray, but I don't think I do. I like Ray versus lineups with a decent amount of lefties, and the Cardinals have a good amount of righties, and that walk rate is always scary. So I'm not too big on Ray, but I just don't like targeting against him. So I do like some one-offs here, maybe like Paul DeYoung and Paul Goldschmidt. And then at second base, we have Mike Moustakas at 4,700. Lefties versus Anderson. I said that earlier. He does have a high ground ball rate, which is a little bit concerning, but the Brewers can square him up and take advantage of that in this ballpark. I know Anderson's used to pitching in San Francisco, but Milwaukee is a different animal there. So do like these Milwaukee lefties. And then we have a pair of teammates here, Derek Dietrich and Scooter Gennett. I don't know if he's going to be playing. I know he was day-to-day last time out, but I did say he was available to pinch hit, so I am assuming by now he should be okay. And he is a lot cheaper, but I like both of these guys. And for Derek Dietrich, he's got a lot of power versus righties. And versus righties this season, he's got a 369 ISO, which is massive. He's been cold recently. I know his average is down to 218, but nothing like Coors Field to fix that. And then with Merrifield at 4,600, love him versus lefties. And I get one in Daniel Norris, who's always easy to run on. So he's got some nice stolen base upside as well. And what's been much better versus lefties this season with the 280 ISO so far. So what's got some power and speed upside there. And then that bullpen's bad too. So should mention that. And then at third base, we have Alex Bregman at 4,800. Chavez has been very tough on lefties this season so far. He's only allowing, I think it's like a .077 ISO versus lefties so far. But the problem is with that is Astros are full of righties besides Brantley and Alvarez. Although I do still think they're in play because I do think they're much better hitters than Chavez is a pitcher. But versus righties, Chavez is allowing a 200 ISO, and we are also in Texas, so I do like the Astros a lot. It's a great park for hitting, and that bullpen isn't as very good either. And then Manny Machado, 4,100. He's been elite versus lefties this season with an ISO near 500. Keuchel has not been good at all versus righties so far, but he is a big ground ball guy, which is not the best for home runs. But Manny should be able to overcome this, and he's just way too cheap. So do like Manny Machado at that price. And then Didi Gregorius at 4,300. Sanchez has been a disaster this season, and a date with the Yankees and Yankee Stadium isn't going to help. I do like Didi's price here versus a righty. And that bullpen's bad. I don't know if I said that, but yeah, bullpen's very bad as well. And then at shortstop, we already talked about Bregman and Machado. No, I just went over shortstop, so never mind. I think I skipped third base. That's what I was. But Jake Lamb, yeah, I already talked about all these guys, so a lot of overlap there. And then in the high-end outfield, we have Mike Trout at 5,300. This is my favorite play of the slate. Trout owns the Mariners, and Leake allows a ton of power, especially versus righties. And Trout murders righties. So two guys lining up there. Stars are all lining, and he's actually at a pretty good price at 5,300. And Trout always seems to go overlooked on Coors slate. So I know last time there was the Coors slate, and I really liked Mike Trout a lot. He was 5%, and he got double dong. I think that was against Gerardo in Texas. So kind of like a similar situation tonight. I do like Trout a lot. And then Christian Yelich at 5,200. Like I said, like the Brewers lefties, and I can't just not list Yelich. Not really enough much to break down there. He's an elite bat. And Charlie Blackmon, 5,400. Not in love with Coors Field tonight. I'm more on the red side because they're a little bit cheaper. Because I don't like picking on Sonny Gray. There's two respectable pitchers on the mound, and Sonny Gray and John Gray. But Black goes on another planet right now with how he's been hitting. I believe what is he hitting over 330 this season. And he just homered in the All-Star game too. So I mean, he can homer off of anybody. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had a good game. But not someone I'm like making a core play tonight. And then in the mid-range outfield, we have Shohei Ohtani. But I know I said he's not a core play, but he's definitely. I definitely do think he's a pretty good play, but not someone I'm prioritizing. I want Mike Trout over him. Then in the mid-range, we have Shohei Ohtani at 4,800. Another one of my favorite plays. He just has so much power versus righties, and Leake is a strike thrower that doesn't miss a lot of bats. So Ohtani should be able to square him up. Hopefully, take one deep. And then I have the Yankees outfield and the Rays outfield here. So. For the Yankees, I like the stack versus Sanchez in the bullpen, so Judge and Hicks are firmly in play. Then from the Rays side, I like Pham and Meadows versus Bundy. I do think Pham's a really good play, especially with the power. Bundy's giving up two righties, but he does strike out some righties. But that strikeout comes down versus lefties, so both are in play. I do like the Rays. And then we have David Dahl at 4,600. So like I said, Coors isn't a must for me tonight. I'm more on the Rockies side. But he's usually 5K plus in Coors, so it's a nice discount versus the righty here. Then in the value outfield, Jesse Winker at 4K. He's going to be popular tomorrow at this price, but for good reason. He's been very good versus righties this season, and I want lefties versus Gray. So I do like Winker a lot there. I think I have him as a core play. And then Nick Castellanos at 4,100. Always pretty cheap and someone I like using versus lefties. He's got a 245 ISO versus them this season. And Cole Calhoun at 4,100, same reasons as Ohtani, but cheaper price tag, and it comes with less upside. Although Calhoun sometimes has some pretty good upside, but obviously not Ohtani on a regular basis. And if we go to some of the core plays, I got Caleb Smith at 8,600. Just really like the spot for him. I do think he's going to get some strikeouts there and have a pretty good game. Although the W upside is never too good with him being on Miami, but I think he's a good play. Then Mike Trout, 5,300. He's my favorite play on the slate. And then I hope he comes in at lower ownership like that one time. And then Jesse Winker at 4K, just too cheap for someone in Coors Field facing a righty as he's a lefty. And then top stacks. Sorry, there's so many stacks, but this is a big slate. But it's 26 teams. So Yankees, Astros, Angels, and then Brewers lefties I like a lot. Then the Reds, the lefties mostly. But both are in play. If I'm going to stack up the Reds, I do like the Rays as GPP. These bottom three are GPP stacks more so. So Rays versus Bundy in the bullpen. Dodgers lefties. So I don't have any Dodgers lefties listed, but I did want to go over that. I think they're in a pretty sneaky spot here versus Eduardo Rodriguez, who's actually a lot worse versus lefties. So let's look at his numbers versus lefties, actually. So if I can find him. Okay, so he's right here. He's 8K. I mean, he's a pitcher I like using sometimes, but he's not an elite pitcher. So if we look at versus lefties, he's allowing a 270 ISO versus them this season. The strikeout rate's decent, and he doesn't walk a lot of guys. But he's allowing a ton of power versus lefties this season. And guys like Peterson, although I don't know if he's going to make lineup versus a lefty, but Cody Bellinger will, Max Muncy, I assume, and some of those guys, I think that could be a sneaky spot there for them. As you see, versus righties, he's only allowing a 140 ISO. So a lot of power there for lefties. So I think they're very sneaky tomorrow. I wouldn't expect them to have much ownership at all. Then the D-backs, and I can't see much people have being on them, but I do like the lefties there. So I know switch hitters like Marte, Peralta, Escobar, Vila, Lamb. So I do think they're in a pretty good spot as well. But anyway, guys, I'll fill out the rest for Patreon members. I'll have my article out. Also, I'm going to go over the chalk plays. So anyway, that's all I have for the video. I'm glad to be back. I've missed it so very much. NASCAR is going to be out tomorrow. What is today? Thursday. UFC should be out tonight. PGA's going on now. So I think I got all that covered. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate that. And follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. And I wish you guys the best of luck.